Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a Dragoncraft deck. I have crafted up 3 White Forest Dragonute Felina. Yes, that's the card we're going with. Anyway, I didn't craft this card originally, didn't have the vials, but after the 50 card sets that we got last week, I thought, why not? I may as well craft up this card. I've got the vials for it. I know it's going to be an extremely good dragon card even going into the next set, so I definitely thought it was worth the craft. Other than that, we are running the Triple Sybil still and the Zeus and Eyes. Of course, keep in mind, a lot of these cards will be rotating and stuff like that. I am covering these decks right now as they are, but look out for all my new deck videos coming as soon as possible with the expansion dropping. That will be super exciting and should be a lot of fun. So a lot of decks are running PDK in these cards, but this deck had Elder Tortoise in it, and for me, Elder Tortoise is my #1 MVP ever. I've always wanted to see an Ocean Dragon deck, and so far this is almost the closest thing I can get with Elder Tortoise. It was definitely a fun deck to play. It does include Red Rage Worm, which is why I think Elder Tortoise is in it, because those two cards actually synergize quite well. And being able to use this, which you will actually get to see, so that's going to be exciting, is actually really fun. Everything else is just kind of the high top end cards and then the really good early game cards. Basically everything that is good in the early game this deck is running, so Blazings, Dragon Summoner, I just call this Ramp Dragon cards, the Legendary, Dragon Oracle, Dragoon Scyther, Roy. This one's obviously the Rage Worm, which is kind of a unique one. Force of the Dragon has become very popular lately, and then we get into the mid-game cards. So Tortoise, not run very often. Sybil, run in basically everything. Two Breaths is not a card I see regularly, but I've found that this is a card I really like. Being able to have both draw and black is really nice, to be able to just kill off amulets and things. Canyon of Dragon, still quite a popular dragon card. Frenzied Drake, a big clear. Zeus and Eyes as your big storm cards. So we're going to get right into it and check this deck out. So our first game is actually a dragon on dragon matchup, and I believe this matchup in particular is actually this deck versus a PDK deck, so I thought this was a good example as dragon is becoming more and more popular, especially with the addition of those cards. So I thought this is a pretty nice matchup to show a meta deck versus this deck. So we start off with a pretty normal hand. I mean, I do prefer more low drops, but this is something I will accept. We do get White Frost, which is great. Having that on your turn 2 I think is almost perfect. A 1/3 stat line plus the effect of the spell is just perfect. Being able to kill something that is damaged works out really favorably for Dragon. Fortunately, no 3-drop, which means our mana, or play points, sorry, will be a little limited. And of course, Dragon Oracle, just kind of drawing a card for him. We do get another Dragonute, White, I don't know. I really just want to call that White from now on. I think that will make my life a little easier. So another White. So we do get another really good spell. And we have both double Eyes right now, so we're going to get a nice little boost on those. They do get the Force of the Dragonute though, so I mean they deal a little bit of damage. But we get a nice little bit of ramp to go with it. And since we are in the dragon on dragon matchup, Roy's Dragon Strife Blade actually becomes quite a powerful card. And another Force of Dragonute, so back to back, we've already seen 2 of their clears. We have got an immediate setup on our Canyon, so why not if we can? I would be very tempted to have gone for a second Canyon, but that 1/3 has to be dealt with, and because we did play Roy, I mean, we basically have a guaranteed way to do it right now, regardless of what they play. So, being able to immediately deal with this is perfect. We also have the Elder Tortoise, which means we can actually use this evolve without having to worry, because we can gain it back immediately. So, it's basically a free Evo at that point. And our Canyon does allow us to stack our board very, very neatly. Another Dragon Strife Blade, so not too surprising. I mean, they're going to be using their blades to get rid of these dragons, which is actually really good because it means our Eyes and our Zeus are going to have a little less competition when they come down. Now, I could have probably just went for my Eyes Strahar, but that would have put me at risk of a Zeus or their own Eyes, so I mean, I still did it anyway, but it definitely wasn't a play that I probably should have made there. Probably should have went with the safer play and decided to remove one of these, play the Sybil, get a little bit of healing. It did luckily work out, so they obviously didn't have Zeus or Eyes in their hand. and if they did, they really didn't decide to use it. It was reasonably safe to assume they weren't going to have those after seeing a PDK, but in this day and age, in this meta, you really never know what to quite expect. So they do still get pretty much the complete removal on this board. But with Eyes and Zeus both in our hands, we've got a guaranteed lethal at this point, so the game is all but tied up. And getting the Force Dragonute was kind of just the icing on top. If I wanted to, I could have very easily used that and had some fun, but we really didn't need it, luckily. And next up is Forest. Again, Forest is very popular. This is why in my last video I also had a Forest matchup, because it is just that popular that I am seeing a lot of it lately. Do decide to dump this whole hand, as we need a lot lower cards than those, and we end up just drawing about the same. At least Force of Dragonute on 3 could be good against a bunch of fairies. So not much impressive in the way of cards right now. Dragon Summoner is probably our best bet, especially on turn 2. So even if we see Brambles come down next turn, our Dragon Summoner can still remove at least 1 card. And if it doesn't, we get to probably remove 2. Starry Elf, not really a problem, I mean a 2-2. And that was a pretty easy hit. So I'm not worried about the 2-2 there. Of course, Brambles makes it slightly better. We do have a spell if we want to deal with it that way, but we're also going to be able to use our Evo next turn. Or actually, Force of Dragonute may actually be the play, because it is going to be 1 damage to all of these. So while I would have probably liked to have gone for the Evo on the Angela, I think it's just better to just leave it for now. Brambles on the return though hurts me a little bit. I don't really like seeing Brambles get returned like that. But Blazing Breath, we're going to be able to ramp now. We get to remove that. It did cost a lot of cards, but I think it was worth it to remove a Lily like that. Since I couldn't remove what I wanted, this had to be my best line of defense. And we still have Elder Tortoise, so we're going to get an Evo back at some point. And there is the Insect Lord, guaranteed 4 damage. Still don't think Insect Lord is quite as good as Roach. They definitely serve very different purposes now, which isn't surprising. Do decide to get my Canyon out, because why not? I mean, worst case, they remove 1 dragon. This is at least going to absorb some of their resources. So I think it was still worthwhile. And they go pretty wide with this, which I actually don't mind too much. I do wish that Frenzied Drake was actually usable next turn, so fortunately that's just not going to happen, but it could be worse. We at least are going to get our Sybil of Whitewater down. And another ramp card, which we don't actually need, so we're just playing that as an extra body, just to kind of support us, even though I could have probably held it to use with our Frenzied Drake, but we've already got at least a 3 damage removal, so even with a buff, I'm not really too concerned. But it looks like they will be able to remove this entire board pretty fairly. Being able to get pretty reasonable hits. And the Skystride Raptor is a good way to get rid of the 5-5. Not so lucky for them is that the Frenzied Drake will actually kill everything on their board this turn. So a complete removal and nice setup. We have got the extra evolve points too, since the Elder Tortoises are going to be able to gain us some back. And seeing the double Brambles normally would worry me, but in the situation we're in, I think it's still pretty decent. So I decided to go for the single Elder, the Red Rage Worm, and a quick Evo. Basically, I'm forcing my opponent to have to deal with what I have. So I did decide to strike at the 2-2, only because I didn't want to deal with dying immediately to Jungle Wardens, which has happened on multiple occasions, so not something I wanted to have to handle. Because of Brambles, of course, they can't play enough fairies to kill me, and even without Brambles, they still wouldn't be able to play enough fairies to kill me this turn. Not without having some kind of buffs. Of course, I think they underestimate Red Rageworm. Although, if I hadn't have had an Evo point, Red Rageworm I think would have been better because it would have been less kind of bait. But they are doing everything they possibly can right now to remove these cards, so... Fortunately, I would have had lethal even without the Red Rageworm, but it's great that we at least get to see it played and used, as I do think it's a pretty cool card. So it was a lot of fun. So I don't think the Forest player could have actually done that much better, even if they had removed the Rageworm. I don't think they could have got rid of everything, so... I definitely think the Forest player did the best they could with the aggro Forest deck they had, but they just couldn't keep up with the removal and the big followers that I was playing, which did end up leading to their demise. So if you guys are interested in playing this deck, definitely hit that like button and subscribe. You can find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.